Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And today's voice is fresh from the Arnold stage. Jaclyn Baker joins us. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yeah, it's such an awesome opportunity for the listeners because, of course, the Arnold has only just been. And how did that feel? Let's talk about that.
Very surreal, I would say. I felt validated for all of my hard work and continuing to show up and put my head down and grind. So there's a lot of emotions, but I think those were the two.
Yeah, I feel like, bodybuilding in itself, it's certainly quite often a game of longevity, right? The knock
Yes.
and the knocks and the knocks. And then, as you say, when you get that validation, it's like, whoa, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I feel like throughout the day, the past couple days, I've been like, oh, wait, I did it. So it's kind of a weird feeling, I guess. I don't think there's there's a good way to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, post show in itself, of course, hormone
Yeah,
adaptations and post shows, as you know, it's never quite exactly the same. You don't really know what's
right,
going to
right. And
be.
I feel like you always, well, depending on your feeling on the show, you always, for me, I always want to rewind and do it all over again. So I feel like there's a little bit of that, like, oh, let's do it again.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd love to as well, because some of the listeners might not know about the fitness category. So it'd be really cool
Sure.
to sort of get your perspective on what it is in a nutshell so that people can understand a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so the fitness division is unlike any other division because we have a routine component. So we do our physique round, which is 1/3 of our score, and that's normal posing, and it's the exact same as figure posing. And it's also technically the exact same physique as figure. Now, figure's evolved, every division's evolved. So, and most fitness competitors don't have the same genetics as figure competitors as far as the small waist. We also have more of a functional abdominal wall. So it does make us look a little bit different. But the physique is the same as figure. And then we have another component, which is our routine component. And that is like a fitness, gymnastics, dance, cheerleading, whatever you want to make it really. And you have 2 minutes to do whatever you'd like. And there are four required skills, and they're pretty basic if you are one of those type of athletes. They're a high kick, a split, a push up of any kind, and then a straddle hold. So that's basically a middle split where you lift your butt off the ground. And those are the only requirements. And then on top of that, you put your own flair in and you add any skills that you're able to do. So people may see like the Olympia athletes or the Arnold athletes flipping and flying, but that's not required. People are just doing what they're strong at. So everyone's routines look a little bit different. And that routine is 2/3 of our score. So you've got 1/3 of the physique and then 2/3 routine combined gives you our total score and our placing.
I love it. I feel like the fitness division is becoming a bit more in the space like, oh, what's this? And I feel like as well, many bodybuilders will go, wow, like you've done a prep and you're of
Yeah.
course learning the fitness regime. And, even in itself, the risk of injury and different things that I'm sure you have to be aware of. I'm sure there's, a lot of thought that actually goes into your fitness routine being as safe as it can, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And routine rehearsals are, you have to be really cognizant of how safe you are, how much you're pushing. As you get a little bit older, I'm 41. So as I've gotten older in the division and my body, you have to trust your body that you can do the harder skills and then pull back when you need to, rehearse when you're feeling good, really listen to your body, really focus on recovery, whether it's, massage, acupuncture, icing, sleeping, all that stuff is really, really important. And then you just have to be smart. I think far too many times, us as athletes, we are competitive, we push ourselves, we do that one last rep, that one last set, whatever it is, workouts or fitness skills, and you probably pushed it too far and then you're risking injury.
For sure. I feel like that's so valid as well because it's like actually one more rep a lot of the time it'd be better to just pull back that little bit, and you're probably going to get more reward from the
Exactly.
or for you for the regime
Exactly.
as well. With where you said about your age, was that adding to the validation as well when you won? Because have you got,
Yeah,
like, you know,
I
that
think so. I am one of the older competitors. That's not to say there aren't people older than me or the same age, but the women who have been first in the past couple years are in their low 30s. And for me personally, I didn't start bodybuilding till 31. So I danced professionally prior. I didn't really even lift. I did like some bicep curls or
I love
something.
it.
Um, and then I kind of felt like I was gonna take, once I got into this, I was like, okay, when I turn 40, that'll be like the turning point when I decide if I'm gonna continue or I'm gonna be done. And I kept placing second at the Arnold, second at Olympia. I just didn't feel like I had done all that I was capable of doing. So I think turning 41, just not even a month ago, it was kind of like validating that, okay, you've been in the game long enough. You are, one of the seasoned athletes. And I don't know that my age really has anything to do with it, but I did know in my head around 40 was going to be the point where I kind of checked in and said, okay, what are we doing and how much longer are we going to do it?
Yeah. And do you have any more thought
No.
processes? I love it. This is bodybuilding. This is like
No,
mindset.
I did know in my heart after Olympia,
Mm,
I didn't know how many more second places I had in me. Like that was very tough. And not because the other women didn't deserve to win. It was just like I felt like I had done my best. And you can always get better. You can always get better. But I felt like I had done what the judges wanted. I performed my best for me personally. And I just didn't know how much more emotionally I could take of just getting so close. So I think that's, what it was for me. Now that I've taken the title and reached one of my goals, and I feel like I've been a little refreshed after I took some time to really look at everything and see like what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I think I have a little bit more in me, but I don't have a date. I'll never set a date for myself. I think I'll know when I know.
yeah, for sure. I'd love to also hear about your sort of upbringing in childhood and early adulthood as well, leading up to actually bodybuilding, because I'm sure there's some sort of sporting background there.
So yeah, so I grew up a very competitive dancer, classically trained in ballet. I went to ballet summer programs for, 5, 6 weeks, sleepover programs. I competed my whole life as a dancer and did very well as a young dancer, was pretty nationally recognized. And then I went to college for dance at the University of Arizona. So I have a BFA in dance. And at the time, I mean, we're talking 2002. So at the time, it was one of the top colleges for dance. Now, dance in itself has evolved so much with shows like So You Think You Could Dance and America's Got Talent, all these things that dancers are on more than just like what people see kind of like on corny TV shows or something.
Yeah.
Like people are recognizing dance more. And
Mm.
then I moved to New York City and I danced for two contemporary companies here in the city and then did a lot of other random things. I danced for Alice Cooper, I danced for Sting, I danced for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. So a lot of like really just dancer gigs. And then I was injured and I was retiring from dance and I was like, I'm gonna get a real person job. I'm just gonna here in the States, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get benefits, 401k, health insurance, all the things that normal humans get, normal adult humans. And then I was in the gym working out, and my previous coach approached me and asked if I had ever considered bodybuilding. He was looking for someone who was new and into it to kind of like sculpt into a bodybuilder from nothing.
Wow.
Nothing, that's not a good word, but like a non-bodybuilder. So that's what happened. And I researched him and then trained with him for 6 months. And I won my first competition and I was in figure at the time. And I was like, well, this was a fun opportunity to get on stage again.
Mm.
And to be honest, the trajectory of my career just took off from then once we switched to fitness when he found out that I had a dance acrobatic background. And then now I'm here.
Wow, wow. That's
So yeah, my
amazing.
childhood was very competitive. Every other weekend was dance competitions. I have two sisters and we all danced, all competed. So yeah.
Would you say that there was challenging times within that, like pivotal things that were the really working on the mindset and what you need to do to be
Yes.
successful? Yeah. Mm,
Yeah. I
mm,
think I was always very focused as a kid. I was always striving for better, striving for perfection.
mm.
So I think that's kind of just been in me always.
Yeah. Yeah. And your parents, are they that they're quite driven to keep your
My
children?
parents are very driven. They both work out and train like bodybuilders, even though they're not. My mom did compete twice on
Oh,
a whim, once when I was super young, and then once after I started competing. And she says she's going to do another one. But yeah, and they're very supportive of my career. They have been to every single competition I'm going on my 10th season. So we'll say all 9 seasons. And moving into my 10th season, they've never missed a competition. We've been to London, Toronto, Puerto Rico, Chicago, Vegas, all over.
because there will be podcast listeners, that do struggle with the parents not understanding bodybuilding.
Yeah, I am very, very fortunate, and I recognize that. My parents have always been supportive of what my sisters and I have done, whether it was dancing or acting. My other sister's an actress, my personal training when I started to get that certification, my bodybuilding, they've always been very supportive, and that's really all I know. I do recognize that other people don't have that, and I'm sure it's very, very tough.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
It's hard because when it's your parent, it's not like you don't necessarily just go, leave me alone. It's like there's more compassion there, and it's quite difficult for people because they reach out from the podcast and they're like, I don't really know what to do, and there's a lot of questions. But I guess from your background and seeing that, even down to with the dancing, with food and things, have you always been quite controlled around that?
Yeah, I would say as a dancer in the 90s, I grew up, I was itty bitty my whole life. I mean, I didn't hit puberty till 16. I was tiny. And once I hit puberty, as a dancer, you always think you're fat.
Yeah.
That's just unfortunately the stigma on dancers. You're weighed for certain jobs. You're really looked at as, can she wear a half top? Can her stomach show? Are her thighs too jiggly on stage? Like, I think it's a little bit different now, but from me and what I grew up as, that's what it was. So I did succumb to a little bit of that binge eating,
Mhm.
dieting, protein bars, salads. I never had any anorexia or bulimia. I just had more of a restrictive binge
Cycle.
kind of thing, which I feel like is the most common eating disorder. I think it's not even a disorder because I think that's how everyone eats, most people. So that led into my college. I didn't drink till I was 21. So then you add in alcohol on top of that and, trying to keep your scholarships for dance, but not getting too heavy, trying to keep jobs, things like that. I didn't really start liking my body and appreciating my body till bodybuilding.
Yeah, yeah. And would you say that bodybuilding's almost enhanced actually, or like you say, how you feel about yourself, and it's been a real positive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, 100%. I remember my first couple years, and women would say to me, "Gosh, your legs are so big in bodybuilding," and I was
Oh.
like, "That's so bad." And I kept telling my coach, he's like, "No, that's a good thing."
It's good,
And
yeah.
I would tell him, "Oh, you look skinny today," and he was like, and I was like, oh, so we can't use that word. Like it
Terminal.
was such a different thing. And it made me really look at my physique in the mirror and say, okay, well, I tend to carry a little bit more fat in my stomach than some other women, but look at my arms. Look what I've done with my back. Look what I've done with my legs. It started to make me appreciate other things and then just realize how I'm built and you know, what my body's going to do if I put on a certain amount of body fat, where I like to hang out as far as body fat percentage, where I'm most comfortable. But
Mm.
I would say bodybuilding for me, as far as body dysmorphia and body image, was really good.
I love that. And the relationship with food, how would you say that is as a bodybuilder?
Much better. I mean, there was a point where if I had something in my house, I would eat the whole bag of it. I go through an entire 6 months, 9 months. I mean, if people came in my kitchen, they'd be like, "What the hell?" I have 5 pints of ice cream. I've got 2 stacks of Oreos on my fridge. Girl Scout cookies that I had to buy from my niece. Um,
That's awesome.
and I mean, all kinds of stuff. I don't touch it.
Mm.
I
Mm.
don't touch it until the day I'm supposed to eat it or I'm going to eat it, plan to eat it. I don't cheat on my meals. I don't overscoop. I mean, I think the one thing I've probably done is eat too many vegetables.
I love that. I love vegetables.
And in that regard, my stomach just hurts. I don't really know how much those calories are really adding up. For some people, they will, but I'm not eating like loads of them, but it is like sometimes I'm having double portions instead of the portion I'm supposed to have.
Mm.
But I'm not eating extra. I just eat what my coach tells me and that's it.
Yeah. And with your, is it a food plan that you have?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have a focus on the micronutrients, the veggies, fruit, etc. as well.
Exactly, exactly. My food choices change slightly when we get closer to competition. I stick more to jasmine rice and sweet potatoes for my carbs, oatmeal. And then now that I'm in, a little bit of an improvement season, I'll add like an apple or Ezekiel English muffin or, different types of potatoes, things like that. But it all year round is my base is the same.
Yeah. Nice whole foods.
Yeah, exactly. It's not rocket science.
For sure. Now,
Yeah.
it'd be quite interesting to know. Obviously, it's going to be different in the different phases you're in, but like a day in the life of, or a week in the life of what that looks like with your regime as well, what you have to sort of commit to and how that works.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you a basis of now and then in my prep when I'm close to a show. So right now I wake up around between 4:30 and 5:30. It depends on my schedule. I usually try to just wake up naturally.
Mm.
If I always set an alarm, but I usually just wake up. And fun fact, I use a real alarm clock, not my phone.
I love
My
that.
phone stays in my kitchen away from my bedroom. I'm
Mm.
a firm believer in mental health and sleep and all of that being so important. So if you use your phone for your alarm, stop. So I wake up. I usually do about 30 minutes of a walk. I would say 20 minutes is my minimum. If I do an hour, it's because I'm reading or I have the time and I'm like, let me just get some steps in now. Shower, eat my first meal. I usually have, like, I had two clients this morning, virtually personal training clients. Then I ate again. Then I went to do my leg workout, came back, ate again, did a little computer program because I have a one-on-one coaching app where I do programming for that.
Oh, cool.
Now I'm here with you. After this, I have a therapy session with my therapist virtually.
Hmm.
Then I have two more clients.
Mm.
And then in between that, I will run some errands, eat a couple more times, follow up on some emails, check in with my clients that I do the one-on-one with, and that's pretty much it. I usually wind down. I don't do anything past 7 o'clock. And then I watch TV on my couch for about 2 hours. I put my phone away at 9 and go to bed around 9:30.
Mm. Mm.
That's pretty much a typical day right now. When I am closer to a competition, it's pretty much the same except for in the mornings I do ice baths and a little more cardio, more like interval cardio. I do implement naps. Usually I try to, if I'm implementing them, like 11 to 1 is like a sweet spot for me. That's pretty much the only thing that really changes.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. This prep, I switched to a new coach and he's based in Phoenix. I'm based in New York City. So I went out there for 3 weeks. So I was only taking virtual clients. I have a couple in person here.
Mm.
But
Mm.
other than that, it's pretty much the same.
That's where we thrive, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I love structure. Right now I do have more freedom with food and all that kind of stuff. So this weekend I'm going out with friends for my birthday was in February, her birthday is in May, so we're kind of doing like a combined birthday celebration. I have another event next week, so I start to do things like that a little bit more, but
Love.
I keep those to like one, maybe two times a week.
Yeah, it's like especially post show as well. You again, like we said, you don't really know how you're going to feel, and I always recommend you don't sort of overcommit just in case. And then if
Exactly.
and if it's right people,
Exactly. Yeah,
if it's your good friends and stuff, you can actually recharge with them, can't you? It's like, oh,
definitely.
what were they like about you winning the art? Did you get so many people?
Oh, very supportive. Yeah, all my friends are very, very supportive. I got a couple FaceTimes. I got a lot of messages. So yeah,
Yeah, I bet it's like, oh my God. And what did your parents say?
Oh, they were so happy.
Mm,
They're just very proud of me. They're very, very happy. I think they're happy for me that I achieved the goal that I've been working so hard for. I think it's probably really special for them to see me do that and be there in person. And yeah.
yeah, for sure. Now, social media wise, obviously
Mhm.
you sort of touched on there coming off your phone at night, which is super, super important. Do you find you get pressure from, leading up to a show and different things from social media, or are you quite good at blocking the noise out?
No, I don't think I get any pressure. I don't really, yeah. Sometimes there'll be a couple negative comments here and there, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. And it just sucks. But Uh, I don't think, no, I don't have pressure. I don't really compare myself to other athletes. Because there's no use in that because we all step on stage and look different than we do on social media. It's really dependent upon that day.
Mm,
And also, we all have such different things. Like, would I want a smaller waist? Sure. Could I get one? No. Like, my bone structure is my bone structure. So if I'm looking at someone I'm like, God, her waist is so great, mine's not.
yeah.
I can't change it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to just stick to myself, do the best I can, focus on myself, and
Mm,
that's all really you can do in this sport.
for sure, for sure. Are you like that on show day as well? Are you quite what are you like on show day?
Very to myself,
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
very to myself, very focused. I'm not very chatty. I am just there to do what I came to do, and that's it. Once I've done my routine, like, so we do our posing in the morning and our routine at night. Once I finish my routine, I'm a little more chatty. I'm less kind of in my zone. I think it's just my personality. I like to really focus. I think other people's energy can feed off on you, and some people are super anxious, and I just like to keep my brain calm. So
Yeah, for sure. And your routine over the years, have you ever sort of got on stage and it's not gone to plan, or is everything always just worked how you
it's
want
so
it?
funny because they asked me that at the interview at Arnold, and I would say that like 75% of the time, it might even be more than that. 85% of the time, something happens on stage that wasn't planned, right? For example, if you watched my routine this year, I had a coat that I took off and it was in the middle of the stage. And I practiced going back and forth, not stepping on the coat, which I didn't. But my final pass, this is the coat. I'm supposed to get past the coat. And this, for whatever reason, I didn't. I was on this side. So I just rolled the other way. But as a seasoned competitor, I know to do that. There was one time I ripped off a costume, but part of it came off too early. So I just ripped it off early. Uh, yeah, there are things that just happen, but I guarantee if you were watching, you wouldn't know. My sisters will watch and be like, yeah, I saw, but most people won't know.
Mm. Do you find that from the dancing background and what you've done previous, you can just not bluff it, but just carry on?
100%. And if you can't, then you're not a good performer, in my opinion.
Mm, mm,
If it knocks you, I mean, if it knocks you completely out and you can't catch up and you can't figure out what to do,
mm, mm.
you got to work on that.
Yeah, even posing in itself as a bodybuilder is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you can practice and practice and practice, but sometimes like nerves
I
or
mean, yeah,
whatever.
my feet got out from underneath me and posing. Right when I walked out, I was a little shaky and I was like, one foot in front of the other. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it catches you. It does, but you gotta hold it together.
I like that as well because from, you've just won the Arnolds, but you're still being able to say, look, we all get it, right? Like when you're on stage and your legs shaking and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah,
And
and you can't control it. You're like, stop,
yeah.
stop, while trying to be like, you
Yeah.
don't see my legs shaking, right? You don't see me almost falling over.
Yeah, it's so funny. With the posing on top of what you have to practice for the fitness part, how often would you practice your actual mandatories in the figure posing, generally
I'm one of
speaking?
those people that I like if I'm doing back day, I'll throw a couple poses, a couple, comparison rotations through. I like to do that. I get in my heels. It's not, I don't have it in a schedule, but some people will probably be like, well, you should. Um, for me, because of the fitness skills, the fitness routine, the recovery, it's not a last thing by any means, but it is something that I start to put in when I get closer to a show.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
it really just depends for me.
Yeah. So if you're feeling it, it's like, oh, my
Exactly.
delts are pumped. I'll do a little bit of a
Yeah,
practice.
exactly.
And do you do like stretching and things like that on
Yes.
top of, yeah. And do you have like a regime you do, or do you just know your body now and you think I need to stretch X, Y, Z?
I stretch every morning. It's not long. It's like 3 minutes, a little couple lunges, a quad stretch, hamstring twist, rotating my back. Post leg day, I'll definitely roll my legs out a little bit. I get massage, acupuncture pretty often. I would say right now, twice a month, if not 3 times. As we get closer, I'll do once a week for sure, sometimes twice a week.
It's
Yeah.
important as well, isn't it, to have a bit of time away from the everything you have
Yeah.
to do in a prep. Massage, you can just go, oh my God, I can just almost switch off because.
Yeah, exactly. And my body responds really well to it, so
Mm, mm.
it's definitely helpful.
And you mentioned switching coach. Would you talk a bit about how that felt and sort of how that came about?
It was very hard. It
Mm,
was very hard, but I had the opportunity to work with a very high level coach. I had been with my previous coach for 10 years, and I felt like we had gotten to where we got to, and pretty special. And I would say it was a journey, and I'm really proud of the work we did. We were pretty much no ones in the industry and got me to second place at both the Arnolds and Olympia. I did feel like I said, when I was deciding what I wanted to do with my career, I just needed a fresh perspective, a little shake up, a little change, see where we could tweak things a little bit to make the judges really, you know, like my physique better, like my routine better, whatever it was, just really to clinch that title. So
mm,
felt like again, it was just a different perspective,
mm,
just a little change up.
mm. 10 years is it? I was with my first coach for nearly 8 years. You become this like duo, don't you? It's
Yeah.
amazing when you formulate that. And
Yeah.
are you still friends with your coach?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, this is good because
Yeah.
it is, it's
It's not easy. I mean, it's like a breakup of any sort. It's tough, but I think sometimes change is good. Sometimes just a refresh
mm,
perspective, a refresh, I don't know if that's the right word, just like a new human. It's like when I tell people like something with their diet and they're like, yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, I've heard that before. And then I say it in one different way and it's like a light bulb moment. Like sometimes it just comes from a different person, a different verbiage, whatever it is, and it clicks. So,
mm.
yeah.
And how did your new coach feel when you got the title? Was he
Oh,
like,
he was very happy. He was very happy. Yeah. He's got quite a few titles under his belt, so I think he was happy to get another one. And he's very much like there's more work to do, which I am also. So he was very happy, but already on to the next thing,
and did you have like
which
a
I
pre
like.
Well, yeah, because it's structure, isn't it? This is something I always recommend. It's like I think that a lot of people, particularly if it's your first time you compete, and then you sort of think, oh, I haven't got to do all that stuff anymore, and then suddenly you're in this whole like, what the fuck's going on? It's
Yeah, I do not recommend that.
like you say, even keeping your walking in the morning, keeping your training where it would normally be, that type of stuff. And again, it's like after the show a lot of it to do with the mindset as well as to like this is my thing, this is what I want to do. I want to keep the structure rather than hating on what you've had to do in the prep, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think far too many people think of it as a sacrifice or like in a negative way. I don't think of it like that at all. I enjoy it. I love what I do, and to me, it's a privilege to be able to do it.
Yes, I love that. I love that. How do you find with the body image as you're sort of pushing up in an improvement season? Are you okay with when you're coming down and going up? Do you get in your own head at all?
Yeah, I definitely get in my head. I do try to stay on the leaner side for me. That doesn't mean I'm as lean as I am right now. My gauge is usually getting my period back because I do lose it towards the end, and I think just hormonally I should have it. And I usually go off of my peak week weight, not my show weight, because I do drop quite a few pounds of water. So to me, if people are always like, oh, my show weight, I'm this much, but that's not even a real number. That's like, uh, so I usually stay. I would say 10 pounds of my peak week weight is my range. Now I'm only 5'1.5", so 10 pounds on me is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So I keep it a little bit lower. I personally don't like the way I look if I'm too heavy. I don't like the way I feel. I don't think it's necessary to put on muscle. I've never been in a huge calorie surplus to put on size, and I put on size really easily. So I think it's just personal. For me, I keep it a little tighter.
I love that. The
Yeah.
perspective as well, for people listening, we see a lot on Instagram, we hear things, etc. And it's like, oh, this person's on loads of calories. You have to have loads of calories, loads of food to recover, and all of this stuff. And it's something I don't fight against, but I sometimes feel like I'm like, guys, my first years and years and years, my calorie surplus wasn't much at all, and I would gain, in an off season steadily, and my calories would get to maybe 2.5 max, at a
Yeah.
push. And it's something I try and promote, especially like you say, you're 5'1". So if you were to think, oh, I've got, I have to eat an extra.
Yeah, I don't understand that mentality. I don't know if it's an old school, they just want to eat. I have no idea. I think it's unhealthy. I personally think it's unattractive. I don't think it's bodybuilding at all. I don't think if you're carrying around an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds of fat, that's like doing anything for you. If anything, I think it's detrimental.
Mhm, mhm,
I think it's unhealthy. Again, this is my personal opinion. It's a personal thing. I don't know if it comes from my dance background and, just thinking that's the image that I like to uphold. That's the physique that I like to look at. So if you like to be, 20, 30 pounds heavier, cool, rock with it. But it's not for me.
Yeah, and it also depends as well, I always like to gauge it with, having some line still and being able to,
Yeah,
not.
exactly, exactly. So, I can tell by my abs, I can tell by my quads, my shoulder caps. Like I can just tell when I'm pushing it.
For sure, for sure. And if you were, when you said about binge restrict and that type of stuff, if that's been throughout your bodybuilding, is there certain phases that would sort of kick in and you find that your mind goes that direction, or?
I think if my food is not as balanced as it should be, I then want to, binge more. I think it's way less than it used to be. Um, I think I've also found, not I think, I know I've found foods that satisfy those sweet cravings that I have, or like the fact that I want nachos, like I make a different version of it so that when I do have nachos, I have them and I feel satisfied throughout my week. I do think that I still have a tendency to overeat.
Mhm.
I believe that's totally a mind thing. I don't think that's, anything other than some kind of psychology behind not feeling full and,
Mhm.
liking to feel full, those kind of things. So there's definitely some psychology to that, but over the years, it's gotten way different.
Do you think that's more with sort of maybe you touched on having therapy and just understanding yourself more?
Yeah, definitely. And age. And I think like it just doesn't feel good. Like it just feels crappy. So remembering how I feel when I've eaten too much or remembering how certain foods make me feel, which I think is also why I keep to a certain, meal plan throughout the year. I just don't like the way I feel. And if I don't feel good, I'm not a good human to others. So
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely merit with having a food plan and the foods that digest well, a good variety, and also sticking in your regime, isn't it? Because it's like I know I'm going to eat at these times. I know what I'm.
exactly.
Because
Exactly.
sometimes, there's obviously like flexible dieting and stuff. If you're given choices, it were, it can be like bloody hell. I don't know
Well, I
what.
think, yeah, that happens. And then people will be like, well, I can't eat the same thing every day. And I'm like, well, you go to Starbucks and you get the same egg white bites and your Frappuccino every morning. You do eat the same thing every day.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Or like it's a sandwich, but one day it's cheese and another day it's something.
Like it is the same thing. You have three different options that you get. Okay, so have the same three options, but make it better.
Are you a coffee lover?
I love coffee.
Do you go
I
black
have
coffee or?
I have black coffee, hot coffee in the morning, iced coffee in the afternoon.
I love
And
it.
then right now, if I want to, I'll get like a little steamed almond milk in my coffee. But I usually always in the morning I have black coffee. And then if I want like a mid-morning coffee, sometimes right now I'll get a little almond milk. But Really, I just like it black at this point.
But it's like a treat to us, isn't it, when we get a bit of milk?
Yeah. I know my Starbucks people are always like, "Oh, you're done competing?" I'm like, "Okay."
So funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are your clients like? Are they do they really get behind you when you're prepping?
They're very supportive. I actually had a client, it's a client of 10 years, and on Thursday last week, he texted me and he was like, "I'm on my way to Ohio."
Oh, wow.
Out of nowhere. Yeah. My clients are very supportive. Even clients that I no longer train text me and, we're watching and following along. So, yeah,
It's inspirational to have your coach. Prepping in itself, I think, like, let alone winning the Arnold.
definitely. Definitely. I think they recognize it and they're there on the journey with me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Do you have any friends from dance school still? Because this is obviously a different
Yeah.
discipline.
Yeah, I do.
Mm. Are
I have
they,
a couple of really close friends from dance still.
yeah,
From childhood and college.
yeah,
Yeah.
childhood. Oh, so a long stretch of a friendship
One
is
of my closest friends, we've been friends, two of them, we've been friends since we were 8.
really.
Yeah,
So you've seen each other's journey of multiple eras.
definitely. Yeah.
And when you do clock up the fatigue over a prep and you do start to feel the pinch or whatever we want to call it, do you have, because I believe there's a lot of mindset behind this as well. Again, another theory that I sort of have gathered over the years that, when we get the fatigue, when these things happen, we get the hunger, within our mindset, we can of course overcome this and do certain things. Do you find when you are heavily fatigued, there's certain things you put in place to just try and get through the prep and be able to stay sort of positive, as it were? Or you
I'm
just get on with it?
very fortunate. What?
You just get on with it. Like,
I'm very fortunate that I have my sisters who are very supportive. I'm in the middle of them. I have one sister that lives close to me, and the other one's in California, which is not so close, but we're very close. We're in contact all the time. So they're there when I have, any kind of moments of doubt or frustration but I really at that point am just so hyper focused on the goal and I just push. I just put my head down and grind. I would say I do things like every night before I go to bed, I thank my body for getting me through the day. I, thank and say everyone that I'm thankful for. So I continue that kind of regimen. And what else I do? I make sure to have very short coffee dates with friends. So like I'll reach out to a friend and be like, "Are you free for 30 minutes at 3? I have a break." And they'll be like, "Yeah." And we'll meet up. It's just like that recharge of energy that's not bodybuilding. And they're not they're like school teachers and fashion. And so it just gives you a little bit of a different energy instead of just being all, fitness, bodybuilding, food.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I do try to do that once a week when I'm getting closer.
I love that. A touch
Yeah.
of reality, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's quick and it's not drawn out. And because as you know, no one has energy to, I don't have energy to talk, nor I'm not a small talk kind of person. So
Yeah.
it's like 30 minutes to an hour. We touch base, we catch up, see what's going on, and then be
Yeah.
on our way.
Yeah, it's boundaries as well, isn't it? Saying I've got 30 minutes. But the thing is that 30 minutes is then such good quality. Like you say, you charged up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you quite good with setting boundaries and quite selective of who you sort of let in your circle? Yeah.
100%.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't surround myself with super negative people, super high anxiety, stressed out people, especially when I get closer to a show. I'll kind of pull away if I do have people like that in my life. I I don't meet up with people who aren't timely. I know that I personally get anxious with that, whether I'm waiting on people or that, running late, things like that, just I'm not good with. So
Yeah,
yeah,
sitting there like, where are they?
yeah, it makes me crazy. So
With like you say, if you've got people in your life that are more anxious or not timely, etc., would you just sort of see them more in the improvement season and
yeah.
sort of
And it's
allow?
not even like a conversation, and I don't think they even think anything of it. It's just kind of I just pull back and they'll be like, "Oh, Jaclyn's just closer to a show." It's not like I'm like, "By the way, you're so annoying right now. I can't be around you."
I'll see you in the improvement season, then I'll see you after the
I
show.
can't handle you this week. Yeah, no.
And what you like with if you have like a deload or a week off training or if you go on holiday, are you quite good at relaxing or do you find that quite hard?
I don't ever take a full week off.
Hmm.
I would consider a deload week what I'm doing right now, where I do an upper body off split. So I'm only training 4 days a week. I'm doing high reps. I'm not really pushing anything too much. Like today, I put like a 25 on the hack squat, and I was like, why did I do that? Like I ended up doing it because I didn't feel like taking the weights off, but everything's super light right now. When I go on vacation, I still lift. I prefer it that way. It's not that I'm not okay with relaxing.
That
I
is
just don't
relaxing.
believe I'm going vacation and eating a ton and then just sitting there.
Mm.
Again, I don't feel good.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel better when I move my body. So,
It's like a sort of
but I am great at sitting on a couch. Like this Sunday, I will not move from the couch. I will get like my steps in, but I will watch TV. I'll go out for a walk around the block a couple times. I'll go back to the couch.
mm,
Like I can definitely be a couch potato.
I love it. And do you have you experienced or do you still have any sort of external pressures around the food, the bodybuilding, or you literally your circle is just all good?
I don't have any pressure or anything. I think there's more of like annoying things that happen, with everyone, like eating again. Or people are like, I could never eat all that. And I'm like, this is 200 calories. Like your meal over there is 1,000. Your like cheesy nut salad is 1,000 calories and mine is not. So I think that's more annoying
Mm,
than like pressure. Everyone's like, oh, does Jaclyn have chicken in her bag? I'm like, yeah.
mm,
Like it's not,
mm.
yeah.
Do you find just
You know what
owning it?
happens, what I've realized, and I don't know if people really realize this, like competitors or people who are, I make other people feel uncomfortable with what their choices are. And so in turn, they're projecting it on me. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to others feeling uncomfortable or insecure. And they look at me and they're like, well, look what she's doing, or I should be really doing that, but I can't. So I think, and not to be an asshole about it, but I think that's what happens. Because, like, for instance, if someone was diabetic or an alcoholic, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm so sorry I'm drinking in front of you.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry I'm eating cake. Like, that's what people say to me. They're like,
I get this.
oh, I'm starting my diet on Monday, or oh, I just lost 35 pounds and I'm just celebrating. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, for
You don't have to
sure.
tell me. I'm supportive that you lost 35 pounds or that you're going to start, eating healthier on Monday, but
Mm-mm.
you wouldn't do that to a diabetic. You'd be like, I'm going to start sugar,
Yeah.
because it's really bad.
It is.
Like,
It's a funny narrative sometimes because like yourself, I would never go. Are you eating again? It's just like you're eating. You
yeah.
know,
So
it's
what I think it is people's projection. I think it's people's insecurities and they want to be doing something similar. They want to have more control like we do, but they're just not there yet.
yeah. I guess as well, it's owning it, isn't it? Like just saying, this is what I eat. This is
Yeah.
my.
I
You
mean,
know,
I have very short answers for people. Yes, I'm eating again.
yeah. And then just let it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find like if you have family gatherings or if you're at birthday parties or social occasions, does everyone know what you do and it's just normal?
For the most part, yeah.
Mm, mm.
Again, you'll have that like third cousin that comes up and it's like, what are you doing? Like you,
Do you ever
but
drink alcohol?
what?
Do you ever drink alcohol?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
What
love wine, I love vodka.
do
Right
you?
now, I'll have alcohol at least once a week. Depending on like next week, I have my brother-in-law's birthday, and then I have a brunch with friends, so I'll have alcohol twice. This week, just Friday, I'm Saturday, I don't know what day it is. Saturday, I'm going out to dinner with a friend, so I'll drink then. I don't drink nearly as much as I did in my 20s, but I do enjoy alcohol and know the consequences of it the next day, and I'm gonna feel like crap, but
Yeah, I feel I actually spoke about it on a pod the other day. I feel like you sort of when you're into bodybuilding and you're fit and whatever, it's like you don't need as much for a start, but also you feel there's an element of like, feel quite relaxed here. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I love a drink. I like the way I feel. Not, I mean, I'll have think I had a large glass of wine after my show. Like I'm not like throwing back shots of tequila by any means.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do drink, and I like to say that I keep a very quote unquote normal life. Besides, like, my weeks are very, very structured, but I'm going out next Wednesday for a birthday party. I'm going out on a Sunday night for like a kickback that one of my friends has. Like it's just
Mhm.
I try to be as normal as I can within doing what I do and still reaching my goals.
For sure, for sure. Did you have a post-show meal?
Yes.
What did you have?
So my family comes to every show, and we usually just get like all the appetizers. So I had chicken fingers, I had some pizza, French fries, like a quarter of a burger. I just like to pick at everything. And then it happened to be my mom's 70th birthday the day after. So we threw her and my dad surprise birthday parties.
Oh my
They both turned
God.
70 this year. So we went to a really nice steakhouse. And that was delicious. I had steak and fries and ice cream and some gooey butter cake situation. I had some wine.
I
Yeah, it
love
was
that
good.
situation.
It was good. Oh, a Caesar salad, which I love. Yeah, I don't know what that cake was, but I have a piece of it in my freezer that I took home. It was very good.
It is really nice to speak with bodybuilders that are able to facilitate, you just said there it tasted nice. It's what you wanted to have. I think we're sort of led to be, you got to have this after your show and you have to have the
Yeah.
what you want, you know?
Yeah, even like for the Arnolds, they always have like array of food backstage for us. And there's
Oh,
like pizza and burgers and cookies but I mean, not for nothing, but like convention center pizza is not what I want to eat.
I'm the same.
Like, so I grabbed the chicken. The chicken fingers were delicious. I grabbed two chicken fingers. I ate that. Also, I can't go back on stage after eating pizza or like I'm not just not. So I had two chicken fingers and a half of a cookie.
I know.
But yeah, I am all about eating what I like, not what I'm supposed to eat for that kind of thing.
Or what everyone sort of says, oh, you have a bit of this, have a bit of this. It's like, no.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't want to. Because also, as well, it's from a digestion standpoint, it's like if you know certain foods aren't going to sit too well or do too well, we know the repercussions, right? Because, like you said, if you were to overeat, it doesn't feel good.
yeah.
Mm. And it's hard to then explain that to family members and stuff sometimes. It's like my GI.
Yeah. Well, I'm always, I love ice cream. I am an ice cream addict, but I can't eat ice cream till it's the last thing before I'm going to go to bed because I am also lactose intolerant to an extent. So it's like, I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it, but everyone will be like, oh, do you want the ice cream now? And I'm like, not yet. Like, my stomach can't hurt until right before bed, which, yes, is not great. It's not good for digestion. It's not good for bodybuilding. It's not good for life, but I know what I'm doing and
Mm.
I am okay with it.
Always say this with sort of food sensitivities or that type of nature. It's like there's going to be points where as long as it's not like an intolerance where you're going to end up in hospital or whatever,
No.
you know the effect. So you go, it's like risk reward with
You
many.
weigh it. You weigh it out. You weigh the consequences. And I think that's what people don't do, though. You have to be ready for the consequence. Like, for instance, I said I drink alcohol. I know I'm not going to sleep well. I know I'm going to feel like crap in the morning if I have more than two drinks. I still do it,
Mm,
but I'm aware of what I'm doing and I'm okay with that consequence. And I don't think people are okay with the consequences and or acknowledge the consequences. They're just like, whatever.
yeah, it all starts with acknowledgement, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the acceptance of okay, this is going to happen. Uh-oh, uh-oh. With
Right.
your therapy, have you found that that has helped your mindset with the bodybuilding? Does it work in tandem with sort of the things that we come across as
Yeah,
bodybuilders?
I think for me, getting to know myself better, getting to know what triggers me, what I like and don't like, and being okay with what I like and don't like, and knowing that that's me and that's okay. I think in turn helps with the food and relationships with people and the food. I
Mm.
think that it's all about just trying to be a better person and understanding yourself. And
Yeah.
once you understand yourself, you can be better. So
Mm.
I think for me, that's what therapy's done for me.
I feel like it's okay to have like I don't want to say negative traits, but things that, maybe you can work on. It's like, actually, this is part of me. Do I want to change it? Am I okay with it?
Right. And also it does make you who you are. And if your friends are still your friends and you have these slight, they have negative things too, but that it's being self-aware that I think is important.
Mm-mm. And before we wrap up, what's the next sort of, so you're in your improvement, obviously you're recovering, of course,
Yeah.
and sort of reversing out, but do you have like a bit of a timeline in place? Because obviously you don't know, future, but for now.
So my next show will be Olympia, which is in October in Vegas. So right now it's just kind of some normalcy. I still, like I said, stick to my meal plan. I'll go out with friends more. I'll kind of do a little bit lighter workouts for the next couple weeks, then go back to like my norm. I do just a regular normal back, shoulders, legs split, nothing crazy. And then I would say, let's see, October, September, August. So like probably June-ish, start to, see where I'm at, how long we think I need. I stick with my coach all year round. I check in every week. I don't miss a week. There's not like any lapse in that. So I have some vacations coming up with friends and my sisters and then my whole family. So it's just a lot of that and then getting ready for Olympia
I love
and
that.
see what happens after that.
What a fucking cool vibe. Like
Thank you.
I'm gonna live and then I'm gonna
Yeah.
do yeah,
I mean, yeah, I'm never of the eat, sleep, breathe bodybuilding mentality. Bodybuilding is what I do. I love it. But like I said, I like to live a very normal New York City life. So I try to marry the two.
and then you're just gonna step on the Olympia stage. I love that. I love it though, because of course, the more stress we're under, the more negatives you can see from your physique, even in itself, and
And you need a little bit of mental, reprieve, a little bit of refresh to get back into it and get excited. But for me, it's never like, oh, I'm starting prep. I got to get back into everything. I'm always in it. So I think that yeah, I think that's a little bit different than some people also.
and how are you thinking about the Olympia yet, or you'll get to close to the time and then
No, I definitely think about it.
yeah.
Yeah, we've already brainstormed routines. We know what we want to do with my physique. We brainstorm music and all that kind of stuff. So,
I love it.
yeah.
I love that you get to choose your music as well.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Wow, thank you so much. I'm so glad we could actually, delve into what the fitness category is a bit more as well, because it's, as I say, I see it more and more, and people are like, "What's this?" So
Yeah.
very nice to have this opportunity, and of course, extremely grateful for your time. What a
Yeah,
great.
of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yes, yes.
Bye.
Bye.